Hi guys, my name's Dan and I love gadgets. Today I'm going to be reviewing the Amazfit Bip, which is a very small, very cheap smartwatch from Amazfit. I've been wearing it for about 3 weeks, so I know it pretty well. I'm just going to tell you the specs, I'm going to tell you what I think of the watch, whether you should buy it, who it's for, who it's not for, the strengths and weaknesses. I'm just going to be very concise and very kind of as simple as possible to tell you exactly everything you need to know about this watch, this smartwatch. So yeah. Let's get started. Okay, so let's talk about the specs of this watch first. It's a tiny little watch, but it has quite a lot inside this little screen here. It's got a 1.28 trans-reflective color screen with a resolution of 170 by 170, I think. Got a Gorilla Glass, which means it's kind of slightly protected against any knocks or any bumps, so it won't break immediately, but it's not indestructible at the same time. The resolution is fine for the size of the watch. It's less than most other color smartwatches. As for sensors, it's got a heart rate sensor, it's got a barometer, it's got a geomagnetic sensor, it's got an accelerometer, and it's got GPS, which is very unusual for a watch that is this cheap to have both a heart rate monitor and GPS. For such a cheap watch, it has got a lot of sensors and it can track a lot of things. For example, it can track your heart rate, obviously. It can track your speed, steps, you can track your sleep, so it can monitor your sleep activity. It connects to your smartphone via Bluetooth, and when it does so, it can display notifications. It can tell you when you're being called, who's calling you, who's messaging you, and give you a kind of little preview of what that message is. Now, one of the most interesting things about this watch is the battery life, which is not something that is particularly exciting for most products, but this watch has a battery life of 45 days, which is really, really amazing considering it's got a full touch screen, it's got a heart rate monitor, it's got all this other stuff. 45 days in a single charge it will last. 45 days is a big claim, and it would make this the best smartwatch for battery life available right now. So those are kind of the main specs. I mean, they're very impressive, really. There's got a long list of specs for such a tiny little watch that is, like I say, very affordable. But having impressive specs is all well and good, but how well does it work on a day-to-day basis? Well, I can tell you. Let's start by looking at the design of the watch, because that's obviously very important for a smartwatch. You're going to be wearing it all the time. It needs to be comfortable. You want it to look fairly good, I assume. So the body of the watch is quite small. It's kind of a square, almost slightly rectangular shape. It actually fits really well on my wrist. I find it to be extremely comfortable. I mean, I can pretty much go all day wearing it and just completely forget that it's there, because it's very light as well. It's only 35 grams, I think. No, 32 grams in total, including the strap. So yeah, it's extremely light, and the shape of the watch just means it sits on your wrist very comfortably. It will be fine for both men and women to wear. It's very unisex, doesn't look feminine or masculine. So if you have skinny wrists like me and you worry about wearing big watches and you think it's going to overpower your wrist, then this is a good watch for you, because it really doesn't, even like how skinny my wrists are. But this watch is fine for that. It has a silicone strap which comes with the watch, but these are replaceable, so you can get metal or leather straps. You just have to buy them separately. Overall, the design isn't like amazing. It's not going to turn any heads. It's not going to, make anyone go wow. But it's comfortable, which is the main thing. So some watches are more form over function, but this is function over form. It's just definitely designed to be as comfortable as possible. So let's move on to talk about the tracking capabilities of this watch, because if you buy a smartwatch, it's usually because you want to track your activity or your heart rate or something, otherwise you would just buy a normal watch. So like I say, this has a lot of sensors inside its little body. It can track your heart rate, like I say. It's got, can track your steps, can track your distance if you turn the GPS on, and it does it fairly well. Now, I wouldn't say it's 100% accurate, because, for example, if I move my arms around like this, then that may pick up a few extra steps when I've not actually made any steps. So, for example, if I was to walk 10,000 steps today, the watch may actually detect that I've walked 10,200. So while it's pretty accurate, that's like 95% there, it's not going to give you 100% accuracy. It's going to sometimes give you the odd extra steps when you haven't actually done any, but I think for most people it will give you pretty much what you need to know. You really have to wear it quite high up on your wrist like that and make sure the strap is quite tight. I mean, I went on a treadmill at the gym just to test it out, and when I was wearing the watch quite loosely, like further down on my wrist, it didn't really detect an increase in heart rate when I was running. But when I did it again and I moved the strap up, or moved the watch up and just tightened the strap a bit, it then detected a much higher increase in heart rate, so it was much more accurate. So let's talk about the software that's used on this watch. It's fairly basic. I mean, it's very easy to control, it's very user-friendly, but there's not a lot of information on the watch itself, even though it's got a full color touch screen. So there's this one manual control, and you just tap that to activate the screen, and then you basically just swipe through to see the different menus. So there's the status menu, which basically allows you to look at your heart rate, your steps, what you've done today. There's an activity tab, which is basically set programs for running, for walking, for cycling, and for your treadmill. It also shows you the weather. So if you connect to your phone via Bluetooth, as long as it's connected, it will show you an update of the weather. And then there's a few other things like an alarm, a compass, and a timer. So that's basically it. I mean, compared to some other watches like the Amazfit Pace, which has a bigger screen and a much more advanced software, and you can see a lot of graphs and data on that watch. This watch only really shows the most basic things. I mean, on the home screen, it shows you pretty much everything you need to know, which is the time, how many steps you've done, and your heart rate. If you want to look at trends and graphs and data, you need to look at the app, which is what you use basically to see all of that kind of stuff. So yeah, let's talk about the app actually, because it's important. Every smartwatch has an app that it connects to, and it's important that it works well because that's where you see all your data. This watch uses the Mi Fit app to connect to your phone. You need the app to get this to work, and it's very easy to connect. You just scan a QR code when you first use it, and once it's paired up, then that's it. You never have to do it again, and it will just automatically connect every single time, which is awesome. Now the Mi Fit app is it's very user-friendly, very, very easy to use. You activate it, the first screen shows you basically everything you need to know, shows you your heart rate, your sleep pattern, your sleep tracking, your steps, and if you want, you can look at previous days for the past weeks or months or however long you wear the watch for. So it's all good. It's all very easy to use, very colorful, very user-friendly, and never crashes. However, it's still quite basic, I would say, compared to, say, the Fitbit and the Amazfit apps or the Garmin apps. You can't really look at detailed graphs and detailed trends. The Mi Fit app is basically there to just show you what you've done today, have a look at what you've done, compare it to your other days, and then that's basically it. Which is fine, I think, for most people. Most people don't really care about all of the other extra stuff you can do. But yeah, I would say the Mi Fit app is great, but basic. So just keep that in mind when you buy this watch and see if that's what you're after. Okay, so let's talk about the battery life, because that is basically an amazing feature of this watch, is that apparently it lasts for 45 days. Now, does it really though? I mean, I've had it for 3 weeks. I've only ever charged it once when I did my unboxing of this watch, and I had a video on that, and I only ever charged it, I think, to like 90%, didn't even charge it all the way. And yeah, I've never charged it since, so let's take a look at what the battery life is now, 3 weeks later. It's 39% still. So after 3 weeks of using this, the battery's gone down by 50%. So yeah, that's pretty good. Seeing as I've been wearing it most days, there have been a few days where I haven't been wearing it. But yeah, the battery life on this is amazing. It's beyond any other watch I've ever had, beyond any other device I've ever had. Considering that it's got a full touch screen and it's got a heart rate monitor, I've had the heart rate monitor on the whole time, sleep tracking on the whole time. It's really quite amazing that they've managed to do it. I'm not really sure how they do it. Now, there is one thing you need to consider, and that's if you use GPS, then the battery life is reduced a lot. So each time you use GPS, it will reduce the battery, and it won't last for 45 days if you have the GPS on a lot. What I would do is just turn the GPS off when you're not using it. So if you go for a run or a bike ride and you want to track it, turn the GPS on, and then when it's over, turn it off again. And then your battery will last a lot longer. So yeah, as you can tell, I am liking this little watch. It's got a lot of positives, but you know, with the positives, there's always negatives. So what are the negative things about this watch? And there are a few. There are a few things that annoy me. The first thing is the water resistance. Now, it's technically waterproof to a depth of 1.5 meters, up to 30 minutes, which means you can take it in the shower. You can run it under a tap, you can clean it, and yeah, it will be fine in the rain. I've gone swimming with devices that are claimed to be IP68 rated, and they've just not been, they've broken. They've just broke. I happened to be with another watch that I wore that was IP68 rated, and it didn't work, it broke. I mean, maybe it'll be fine, I don't know, maybe it was an issue with the other watch that I had. But yeah, I wouldn't go swimming with it personally, just in case. I mean, a depth of 1 meter isn't that much. I mean, I can go swimming underwater much longer than that, for much deeper. So yeah, not sure if it can survive underwater. It's still good that it has an IP68, so you can take it in the bath and the shower and it'll be fine. Now, the other thing that annoys me, and this is the biggest annoyance I have with the smartwatch, is how it deals with notifications from your phone. If you get a WhatsApp on your phone, as long as it's connected via Bluetooth to the smartwatch, then the smartwatch will vibrate and show the message. Now, the annoying thing is that if you get, say, you know, sometimes you get a WhatsApp conversation, you might get like 10 messages in just like 20 seconds or something, if like a few people are messaging. Every time you get a message, the watch vibrates twice. So if you get 10 messages, then the watch will vibrate 20 times, like in the same conversation. I think it would be way better if somehow the software could just detect that you know, it vibrates once when there's a message in a new conversation, and then it just doesn't vibrate again, but it just keeps showing the messages. My other smartwatches managed to do this, you know, so I know it's possible. It's just very annoying if you get a lot of messages, or you wake up in the morning, you turn your phone on for the first time, and you have 10 messages that the watch just continuously vibrates. So guys, I guess that's about it. That's about all I have to say about the Amazfit Bip. Actually, I guess the last thing to talk about is the price, which I've obviously mentioned a few times, and which is basically, it's the reason why I think this watch is pretty amazing. The watch costs, if you're in the USA, I've seen the watch available for, the lowest is $77, and in the UK, the lowest price I've seen is £45. Now that is absolutely amazing value for what you get, compared to the other smartwatches out there that basically do the same thing for double the price. This watch, full touch screen, heart rate monitor, GPS, 45-day battery, for way under $100 or way under £100. That is very, very good value. Genuinely good product. It works very well, very smooth, very responsive. So I would say it's probably the best value smartwatch available now. Now, who is it for? Who would buy this? I would recommend this to someone who's thinking about getting their first smartwatch, because they want something that's good value. Someone who wants to track their heart rate and they want all of the other things like GPS, steps, calories, all that kind of stuff. This watch can do that for half the price of most other watches. If you were looking to upgrade from a watch like this, which is the Amazfit Arc, and it's one of those fitness bands that doesn't really have much of a screen, doesn't really show anything, but can kind of do the same thing. The Amazfit Bip is basically the same price, if not slightly cheaper than this watch, but it does a lot more, and it's got a touchscreen. You can check the weather, you can have an alarm, you can use a compass and all that kind of stuff. Oh, I guess the last thing I didn't talk about is sleep tracking. That's why I like this watch very much, because I like tracking my sleep, because I just like seeing how well I slept over, you know, a certain period. And this is the only smartwatch I've ever had that I can wear overnight and not be extremely uncomfortable the next day. So I can wear this all day and all night and I won't notice the difference. Whereas other watches like the Amazfit Pace, which is huge, if I wear that at night, I just wake up regretting it because my arm is like there's like a dent in my wrist, and no, it's too big, too bulky to wear while you sleep. But this is fine to do that. So this is very good for tracking your sleep, and it's very accurate when it does so. I think this is going to be my daily watch that I wear on a day-to-day basis. So yeah, I just think this is such a good day-to-day watch to have. And if that's what you're looking for, then I do recommend this pretty much over any other smartwatch. So yeah, I hope this has been useful. If you like this video, then give it a like. If you don't find me incredibly annoying, then please subscribe. So yeah, I hope to see you around, and until next time, bye-bye.